Sophistication and simplicity make this 2009 Kawasaki Concours 14 the apex of the gentleman's sport touring bike. And although this new generation of Concours shed its old shell of what was previously the GTR 1000, let's be honest, this still isn't the motorcycle you ride for looks. It's for the mature. Sure, maybe you could put yourself out there for something younger, hotter, but deep down you crave the stability and comfort like a Friday night in front of the TV. And that's exactly what the Concours offers. Part couch and one cup holder short of being part car, this motorcycle could appropriately be named the Kawasaki Lazy Boy. It comes stock with enough storage space for the everyday commuter, from the week-long road trippers, and it's perfectly happy performing for both. This bike packs a hog of a 1400cc motor underneath its innocent touring charm. You can wind it up and get thrown back in your seat, or hum along at 90 miles per hour like it's a stroll in the park. This bike is so comfortable, it makes you want to ride it. It makes you want to ride more. Weather report be damned. Let's put in the miles. I'd like to note that I don't actually own this bike. I'm helping a friend sell it and figured I would make a quick video for you guys doing a short review of just my first impressions. I'd like to note that I am 5'4", and this is a little bit tall for me, but as long as you have the experience, it really shouldn't be too much trouble. Although this bike is a little on the heavy side, once you get going, it feels pretty nimble. So let's get to the ride. Super cool way to turn it on. Press it, click it on. I'm so excited to take you guys on a ride today because this bike is absolutely awesome. The pinnacle of comfort. This bike does have ABS. For being a 2009, it's kind of expected. Kawasaki did a fantastic job with this motorcycle and just how ergonomic and comfortable it is, because this windscreen, while it is aftermarket, it's a little bit taller than the stock. I love that I can control this on the fly and add some more wind resistance for myself so that when I'm on the highway, I am honestly, it feels like part car. So the first thing I noticed when I got on this bike was just the position that you're sitting in, especially with this one having what looks to be like a good 1.5 to 2 inches of rise. The handlebars bringing them up, and with the way that the seat is, it does have the aftermarket foot pegs on this one. It is so comfortable. I'm almost more comfortable sitting on this bike than I am sitting in my car. This is definitely one of the most comfortable bikes that I have ever been on. I'm so little that hitting the throttle throws me back in the seat a little bit. I do have to bring myself up forward because I am kind of short. My arms are a little short. Let's bring that up. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. I honestly can't hear any wind in my helmet right now. It is, I'm blown away, honestly. Get over before I put my signal on. Hello, hello, goodbye. I will say one thing, I am not like blown away by the power of this bike. It doesn't pull the way that I expect a bike of this CCs, the 1400cc, to pull. I'm so used to like my Bandit 1200, a Triumph Speed Triple 1050. While they are totally different bikes, they seem to have more torque. And I'm really curious, I haven't looked up the numbers yet to see what the torque is on this bike. But we're honestly right under 4,000 RPM, and we're tooting along at about 80-85 miles per hour. So comfortable, so smooth. You could sit on this thing for hours. You could just sit on this thing all day long. This bike really doesn't feel like you're riding anything. It feels like you're floating across the ground. That's the best way I can describe this, is that you're floating. I think if you could pick up one of these bikes without too many miles, you would have so much fun on it and really just enjoy your commutes. This is, honestly, I would use this as a commuter. I think smaller or shorter riders might have trouble with this bike because of the weight and the size. It is a little bit intimidating. I did have a bit of a harder time moving it around just by pushing it, but once you're on it and you actually get going, it's so easy to maneuver. I do like how nimble it feels. And what I mean by nimble is that once you get going, you don't really feel the weight anymore. This bike becomes very light. It maneuvers extremely well. I definitely notice in some heavier bikes, especially like bigger Harleys, it still does feel pretty heavy, at least in the steering, whereas this one, it's just super easy to move around. Another point for Kawasaki with this bike is that it's shaft driven, which you're going to find in most bikes that are this type, but especially for people who aren't really a mechanic, it's going to be something where you are definitely doing a lot less maintenance. It's something that you don't have to check as frequently and change as frequently as like chain and sprockets. However, with this bike, having extra electronics such as the adjustable screen or a tire pressure monitor system on there, there's devices inside the tires on the valve stem that tell you what the tire pressure is, which is fantastic, but the batteries do go bad and you do have to have it replaced. In this one in particular, it's not flashing at the moment, probably will eventually start flashing saying that the battery is low. If you're somebody who doesn't really do your own maintenance or is just very basic, with these things going bad, it just takes an extra step that you may not know how to fix and you'll have to end up pulling it into a shop. I know personally I really like when my bikes have less electronics because it's less things that can break and go wrong, right? As far as the looks go on this bike, I know it's not gonna be like breaking a lot of parts. Most people don't really care for the way that a sport touring bike really looks, and it's kind of sad because I feel like most people, just because of the way it looks, you're like, oh, it's kind of an old man bike, you know, it's something you get when you retire because it's comfortable. And honestly, if I had the room in my garage, I would probably own something exactly like this. And why is that? Is because these are the people who are really out there riding. If I had a bike like this, I would probably ride more. 100% I would ride more. Across in the GoPro. With the way that this windscreen in the front of this bike, it probably all looks really big, but it does not feel that way because of where you sit on the bike. You really sit up, and so you feel like you're upright. I'm really on top of the bike, but I can definitely see everything around me. Basically, I don't feel like my vision is hindered. Lower that down. Even though it's got the Two Brothers exhaust, it's just so quiet. It just kind of hums along. So, you're not winning any cool points. You're probably winning some, like, I don't know, some dad points. This feels like a big dad bike. This has got big dad energy. This bike pretty much is a cross between a couch and a car, is what it feels like. It's missing some of the amenities that I think maybe some of the newer sport touring bikes in this style are gonna have. I mean, you got your little glove box, very visible mirrors. It's just well balanced. It's got a little outlet up there so you can charge your things. See, where I want it to feel like it's really pulling me, I feel like it lugs a little bit. If you're around town and commuting, that's really where you're going to have most of your power is down underneath that 4,000 RPM. But, you know, I can't really knock it too hard for that. So, quick recap. I think it is a fantastic commuter or long trip style of motorcycle. If that's not something you're interested in, then it may end up being just a little bit too big and heavy for you, especially for shorter riders like myself. It is pretty bulky. What I do like about my Bandit, in comparison, even though this is a little bit older, it doesn't have ABS, it doesn't have some of the same things that this bike has, it is still considered a sport tourer. And what I do like is that it is quite a bit more lightweight. For me being smaller, that makes it easier for me to pick up and maneuver around. However, I do really like the windscreen, the mirrors, and just how aerodynamic this thing is. When you're going down the freeway, you really don't feel the wind. And then you look at bikes like, of course, my Triumph, which block almost no wind. It's almost a joke. And just for gigglies, let's take a look at the fob. It does have a fob on there, as well as this. Press it, and click it on. And if you click it one more, then you can pull this out, and there's your key right there. Pretty neat how they did that. So with the fob, you just pull this, and there's your key. Use this to lock or unlock, open up the side bags, which hold an incredible amount of stuff. I could see myself going on big long trips anybody who wanted to do long trips, you can literally do even your shopping. You could do all of your shopping with this bike. So that is pretty freaking cool.